The following video contains content some viewers might find disturbing. The views and opinions expressed here are not facts and are nothing more than entertainment. The views and opinions are not facts and do not represent the views and opinions of Xirtus or our channel, and do not necessarily represent or reflect the views of the guests, YouTube, Google, mainstream media, society, or civilization at large, or anybody. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Wednesday Ultra. Yeah, so we're like an hour after normal time, which is amazing that you made it. I'm really proud of you. I think we might have upset the Kantian rhythms of Mark, so I don't know if he'll make it. But if he does, we love you, Mark, if you can make it, But if you scheduled your Thanksgivings around this, I think this is kind of a nice thing because so many of you people probably had to spend time with your families a little earlier today, as I did. But yeah, also just wanted to say, check out this Wednesday Ultra sweatshirt. This is a whole other one, a little more narcissistic. It's like I'm looking through the, you know what I mean? Yeah,
I like that
exactly. One. I wasn't sure. I was like, do you guys want a picture of me on it? We got to get a picture of all of us. We got to get ourselves all. I'll do some AI tunes over our faces.
Dueling sweatshirts. Also, check out my squirrel friends for Christmas.
There we go. Hold on. Yeah, there it is. Legit. Dude, taking care of the squirrels. It's a good holiday. Call's with us. What's up, Call? You look beautiful.
Thank you. I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Dude, I love your John Wayne Gacy impersonation. It's just really convincing. All right, let me also remind people, just in case you're interested in looking like this, if you want to look like this, they're on sale. Crazy sales right now. You can get t-shirts pretty cheap. I mean, $13, that's not bad. You know what I mean? And there's even there's all the different designs. So if you go to Xirtus, you can also go for the big wide or whatever. So, and Game Mafia, because like that's the new thing. That's
what about that big blimp? Put that big blimp on his shirt, man.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Isn't that the blimp's on his shirt? Isn't it? Is it not? I think it's on the shirt. Let me see.
I like that big blimp.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Tartaria
nice.
blimp. You get Tartaria blimp right there. This is great for like hacker spaces, I figure. You know, it's like ideology. You wear a t-shirt, it's supposed to make you feel like whatever dream you're trying to realize. So I mean, it's Thanksgiving and it's time to pardon a turkey. Thoughts?
Turkey.
Oh, heck yeah, you got to pardon the turkey for sure. You got to give everybody a clean slate.
That might be a better hashtag than Alex Jones is pardon the turkey. I've been trying to figure out like pardon Alex Jones, but pardon the turkey might be a broader sentiment, right? Because it's like, okay, a lot of things have happened. We've talked about COVID amnesty. Can we pardon Alex Jones first? If we're going to do all this other crazy stuff where we're going to forgive people that could like literally get people killed, couldn't we forgive this guy who...
Julian Assange is a good one too, you know?
Yeah.
I wish I had a picture of Julian Assange as a turkey. Ready for
it is insane though, you know, that think of how crazy it is. Even in like Star Wars, like the Empire, Baron Harkonnen from Dune, like think of like the most evil movie characters. They would never even be, while they're slaughtering people all over the universe, they're also doing these little cartoony funny things where they're pardoning turkeys. And you know what I mean? Like it's so insane. We're like this war machine nation, and then we have these little traditions and performances. Like now we're going to take a break to pardon a turkey and hand out Halloween candy. It's like, it must just
turkeys
scare people in the world.
Turkeys are vultures, right? So that's the thing. Turkey also is named almost definitely after the country turkey because there's an animal that looks like the turkey from Turkey. It was a royal bird, might have been connected to the ibis. But turkeys, vulture, condor, they're all related to each other, right? So you think of turkeys kind of as this sweet cousin of the angel of death. You know what I mean? Like the vulture follows death as a cartoon sentiment. So the turkey is not far off.
Though. They won't eat like rotting flesh, will they? A turkey?
I do not know. I'm not sure.
I don't
if
think
that's
so,
the
but
thing.
they're really tough, like very
Yeah.
tough animals. Like they're resilient, they reproduce a lot, and like if they get going, you better look out.
Yeah, don't they like show up at you in a fight like ducks? Aren't they like unafraid? Like, what's
They're not
up?
afraid of anything, man.
Yeah.
And they'll populate like crazy and like destroy wildlife. Like I remember my
Well, I mean, you
my
know,
parents'
keep them in
place had, like,
balance. It's a
yeah,
good
like
meal.
these turkeys just they were allowed.
Have you
to
ever
get
seen them
rolling.
fly up into trees to go to sleep? They sleep in trees, and they like line up like at an airport and like run one at a time and fly up into the tree. Then the next one goes. It's pretty fun.
So earlier today, hold on, let me show you. My buddy Synchronous posted this in his group. Well, you guys saw this, or you already saw this. Adam was.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Can you explain what?
Okay, so there's a couple things going on here. Adam posted this, and a lot of people have been sharing this video. And what's interesting is when you look up, I found it though. Sheep circle myth for 12 days. Why this happened, and it might have been solved. And the answer could just seriously be this doesn't look nearly as weird when they're in a really tiny enclosed fence all their lives, being raised to be eaten. And so that's all they know to do. They've been in circles all their lives, walking in circles in a really small gated area. And so that's what they still do to this day. Maybe. I don't know. That's the official story anyway, that they walk around in circles in these really small gates. But if I could just, where did he not post it on his main thing? Bro, how are you hiding the turkeys in the circle thing? Hold on,
well, I did a little looking up, and there is some kind of bacteriological infection that animals
Andreas,
get.
you're revealing all our secret chats.
I'm trying, bro. It's all transparency.
Screenshot that.
Animals do get infected, and then that does make them walk around in circles and like hang around in corners and stuff. It gives them that kind of antisocial, bizarre behavior, and then they end up following each other, and they all get infected, and it's passes within a couple of days. I saw that on the internet too, but that's the internet, which I trust.
Yeah, you have to be careful on the internet, especially nowadays, because like people will take a video of sheep walking in a circle and put creepy music with it, and it's like, why is this happening? And I'm like, does that always happen? I've never lived on a farm. Like, I have no idea. You just put creepy music on it.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And now I'm thinking about it, man. It's freaking me out a little bit.
They might do that every day before they go to sleep. I don't know.
Sure, right. Maybe it's just how they run down. You know, it's their.
You got to watch out for clickbait, man. There's clickbait wizards out there. They put the creepy music on anything, and people are just like, "This is a new phenomenon that we have to talk about and share with everyone."
Here we go. I found it. After much deliberation. Can you see this video?
Yeah.
This is what it, and he saw this in real life in San Jose, California, right? This is in Silicon Valley. So clearly the devil is involved. I don't know what it means, but that's trippy. I don't know. There's something wrong with this.
Each turkey is like, hold on, you have something on your back. Hold on, you have something on your back.
Yeah.
I'll get it off for you.
I don't know, man. There's just, it seems like there's something going on with that. Okay. But we also need to talk about Thanksgiving. I mean, I could kind of get excited about turkeys and Ben Franklin, but days of humiliation and Thanksgiving, right? So we think of Thanksgiving, it's half of the equation. There's supposed to be days of humiliation or fasting. And those also have feasts, you know, that are kind of the opposite to that. You have certain days that you don't eat. You have like kind of a Ramadan thing. Protestants did this. Catholics did this. Muslims did this. A lot of people
Humiliation, though. Humiliation.
Right. It's literally called days of humiliation. And if you've ever had a Thanksgiving where you haven't eaten, it is. It really is. It feels like a day of humbling and humiliation. You know, I've been through that before.
You hold on. I mean, what I'm hearing is that you're saying that you've been through a holiday experience where the food is out in front of you. Correct me if I'm wrong. The food is out in front of you, and you are there, but you are not eating it.
No, that's I don't think that's what they do. I don't think they have people sit in front of their plates with food.
There and you smell. You don't.
Yeah.
Like, what?
No, and I think, you know, you can imagine but there's been holidays. There's been, you know, I'm old enough in my life that there's been holidays where, you know, I haven't been around family or been in other countries or been in other places and not gone through the holiday experience and not gone out or something like that. And, you know, that's an opportunity for a fasting day at that point. And so here's the thing, Protestants, they had the first Thanksgiving was a day of humiliation. They didn't have any food. They were starved. We always kind of in the back of our minds remember this, the second Thanksgiving. That's the one where the Indians bring them stuff. But the first Thanksgiving was horrible. Like they didn't have food and they were
How'd they know it was Thanksgiving?
Right.
On the first Thanksgiving?
Well, we're still here. Like
right. I think it's associated also with Beltane and the harvest holidays.
The witches have gifted us candied corn. It should last all winter long.
National days of prayer for specific occasions have been ordered in England as early as 1009 by King Althared the Unready. Occasionally, days of fasting were held in England in the middle of the 16th century under Elizabeth I in response to plague outbreaks and the Armada crisis. Right. So the Armada crisis, when the Spanish are invading, they have people fasting in order to, you know, join in the magic being worked by John Dee and everyone else and, you know, Kelly in order to, you know, just to create a storm that will destroy the tsunami. That's part of the magic that's being worked by the Elizabeth Crown and eventually James. So they're forcing their citizens to fast. Right. And then afterwards, something that happens is that all of the humiliation days go away. By the 19th century, you start to have the idea of mostly these dinner parties, these big feasts replace fasts, and it's a break fast every time.
Thank God, I mean, really.
But it's kind of like it reminds me of the South Park cursed word episode where they're like all of a sudden everyone gets to say shit, you know, and like okay. But then it's a word of curse and people start getting sick all the time. You know what I mean? Because they're saying it's like they didn't realize it wasn't right to do. And there's a reason why it was called a word of curse, right? So I kind of wonder when we take out the self-humbling parts of holidays where, you know, and Ramadan's about this too, like you have fasting and things, but then during the night they get to have gluttonous parties to some extent, some places. Do you destroy the whole purpose really? And because there's things about, what do you call it? Intermittent fasting, which are highly healthy for you.
That's right. Kick in that autophagy. Yeah.
So if it's like what's the religion supposed to do, right? Is the religion supposed to help make you a better person? You know, maybe if it's supposed to make you healthier, it like has yoga involved in it and you have to fast once a year or something.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to come from religion either. It can just come from a very well
right. I mean,
culture. But yes, I know. I just
religions become cults that take your money. But if it seemed like, if you look at the original idea, like it's supposed to offer you 5 things, maybe, right? Like mortality, knowledge, wisdom, power, or like popularity or influence in society, money, or like one of those kind of things, right? And if it's not offering those things, then people aren't subscribing to it up until it's become the state, which enforces itself. Once then it's just like Comcast. Then it's like, oh, you can't get any other alternative.
Internet, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, I
have lots of thoughts on cursed words and why curse when you can bless is something my friend Ja Faith always says.
Yeah.
How do you remove a curse is my question always, because people argue with me on that topic a lot. It's interesting because the reggae scene is like half Rastafarians and half punks in California, and the punks curse a lot. You know what I mean? But they love reggae and sublime style reggae.
Do all the punks have British accent, like inner city British? Are they like punks from the 80s?
Well, no, they're like skate punks from Z-Town in San Diego and stuff like that.
It's a Long Beach kind of slang, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm two of my best friends are Ja Faith and Ras One, and they're the opposite breeds. So like Ras One smokes cigarettes, curses all the time, has a tattoo of the devil on his hand and stuff. And like he argues with me all the time that all this stuff is goofy superstition. But his people ask, how does a word become cursed? And I don't think it's anything like the spelling of the word is like God just made it as a curse and you can never say it. But for me, it's your intention. Like if you feel dirty saying it, and that's why you're saying it, to like share a dirty secret, you know what I mean? Then you're making it a cursed word by putting out that energy where you're like, it's kind of like when you walk into an Irish bar and like there's like the worst alcoholic at the end of the bar. He's like, do one shot with me. Come on, do one shot. Just so you're in like a pact with him. Like you've done the dirty deed together. And I think that's what cursing is too. It's like, oh, I'm saying the F word. You're saying it. Like, oh, we're being naughty. And I think that's the cursed energy. So how do you clean words? How do you take these words and clean the energy off of it?
I mean, I think so. Part of the thing is also, I do kind of believe sounds have certain powers. Like there's a reason why the name Rama is Rama. Like there's mathematicians and physicists that have spent generations focusing on why those sounds and why they should say, these certain mantras with these noises to represent these phonemes. Like it's the most mathematical, there's a caste system in India just to make sure Sanskrit exists.
I mean, you're talking about Hebrew too, where God brought every beast before Adam and let him name it, so like the sound, and in Hebrew, it's like each sound has like a number correlated with it. So like,
so it's like pitch synced to this reality. Yeah.
It's supposed to be that every animal is like the name of that animal is equivalent to the amount of power it took God to create it. Like how many powers it took. Yeah.
That makes some sense too. If you look at some of the animals, I mean, and they have more chromosomes than us, a lot of them as well. Like they're pretty interesting creations. But the idea of curse words seems like there's twofold, because it's about usually things that are, it's like love. Instead, you're talking about carnality, like the worst, like porn is really what it's associated with, as opposed to like building a family. And then there's manure and fertilizer, which grow flowers, but you're not talking about that aspect. You're talking about the negative aspect of something. It's like, oh, it's a terrible thing. And so those things are part of the intention at the base of the words. And people don't think about it, but it's because they're saying it often. I think often with people I know who curse, they're removing the emphasis from the word. So they'll be like, this is brilliant, but I don't want to say that. This is effing brilliant, because then it's not as brilliant, and I don't feel as bad about saying it. It's like, I effing love you means I don't have to say I love you, because it's just so much. So it's kind of it's a distancing, I think, from intention. But that also means you're losing control of what you're saying, and who's in control then?
A lot of it has to do with like mob energy too. Like a person is good, but like a group of people is always bad, like can't be moral. So it's like when people get together in groups, and they start, you're drinking, you're cursing, you're taking part of all this bad behavior together. That's like just builds up like that mob energy. And it's like, what are we going to do next? And then next thing you know, it's like a soccer row.
Yeah. I do think it'd be interesting though, if kids spent more time like teaching, so kids, when you go to another country, they'll teach you curse words in their language. If they taught you how to, because I learned as a kid like a bunch of Sanskrit prayers and stuff, and those are all supposed to be just literally like medicine, right? They'll even just play them in the background if someone's sick to make them healthier, right? And so that's very similar to the Royal Rife sound healing things that we're looking into today, sonication, and there are a lot of Indian doctors that are connecting the sciences and art and saying, hey, maybe there was even more understanding of this before, and we're after some sort of a forgetting of why sound was so important. But I think, yeah, it's interesting. We're a culture that focuses on cursing so much, and instead of like there are literally cultures that have existed and continue that spend just hours of their time instead of watching violent movies or drinking or fighting with each other, singing sounds in order to make their lives better, right? Which is just such a.
Have you guys heard about
some people think?
Oh, sorry.
No, please go.
Have you heard of? Doug, you might know about this. People would yell like positive words and negative words at water when it was freezing, and the freezing shapes would be very different depending on if you were putting like very nasty negative energy into the words versus positive. Have you guys heard of that?
Right, Dr. Emoto, and there's a bunch of people that have done similar experiments. Right now, Jeremy Science on Alien Scientist, Jeremy Reese, he's talking about some things on that level. The thing that's interesting is that we can't reproduce the effects Dr. Emoto did. Right. So what we're trying to produce is more based on the idea of resonance. Because if you can send, we have proven that if you use certain kinds of frequencies, it affects crystals and how they grow. You can actually use that to choose which direction crystal lattices grow. So there's a lot of ways you can
blood
have
has crystalline structures in it, like everything's in the blood too. So you think that affects us too. Do you think there's negative frequencies? Like Kanye West was saying, like 808 bass is like a neg. I was like, are there negative notes and negative frequencies? Like people always talk about 432 tuning is good for you and 440 is bad. I'm like, really? Like some notes are bad. Like what if
I don't think bad's the word, because that's kind of like the black keys on the piano used to be the bad notes, right? And I think it's more that those notes can be very useful in transition, like
story. That's right. That's
pathos. They're the pathos of bringing you to the resolution of those white notes a lot of the time, the angles. But you need to have these different frequencies for the purpose of harmonizing with them. So if you're saying this is a good frequency, it's because you're saying you're trying to harmonize with this thing and it's keeping you in harmony with that thing. If that thing is nature and you love nature, then it's good. But if it's that's about as objective as you can get. Otherwise, you might say, I'd rather be like an MP3, and I think that there are a lot of people that drink synthetic energy waters at Coachella while these triangle waves are blasting their square waves, and vice versa. And it does augment them, but it is unifying in a sense because there is an entire cast of people that are then harmonized that way. So
I like that.
It might be horrible though, because the thing is you're being augmented and we're not prepared for what that new reality will be like. But I think you can imagine as a child, for instance, you could probably use that to have them see more colors or become more tetrachromatic and things like that.
If it's going to expand, yeah, I mean, if it were to truly and only optimize and extend your range of conscious interaction and exposure to all of the vibrations around us that we don't currently have that kind of access to, then for sure that'd be really cool. That'd be like, what does my cat see? What does she actually see right now? Oh shit! Like, who knows what it could be?
Right. I think really if we live in a nature that only has certain kinds of things going on for it, that we don't perceive certain things, then it turns off the likelihood of that being found, that gene enacting, that system being replicated, someone else deciding they want to breed that and continue to keep that going. So it might be part of the deal of a new world that these things are just.
That was awful. I never want that. No offspring from that experience. Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a thing. Like maybe somebody sees too many colors, and they think it's weird, and they don't want. And a lot of the time, it's women, right? Like, so they have women in Russia. One of our audience members is a guy who has tetrachromatic as well, though.
I thought that it would be beautiful. It hurts so much.
But it might be like witchcraft to some people. They can see more, so they get eliminated.
We lost Darth Call. Where'd he go?
No. Call. Hopefully,
the Russian dialect was that bad.
It's just amazing that there are so many colors out there that other animals see, but it's for their the only thing I can analogize it to is like a video game. Like if you walk into a room as like a level 1 thief in a video game, maybe nothing is triggered, but if you walk in as a level 20 thief, all of a sudden guys come out and start interacting with you, and there's a treasure chest there with something in it. And it's almost like that in life too. Like we go out and we look at flowers and we just see their colors, but bees see much more colors. So the flowers actually have patterns. That's almost like a language to the bees, and they can read what the flowers are and what there's, you know what I mean? So it's almost like depending on what your class is or who you are, you get to interact with the environments in different ways that are tailored specifically to you, but it's all the same environment.
Yeah. What is your stack of receptors that are active this go round? Do you have a bee stack, or do you have a human stack?
Or a mantis shrimp. Mantis shrimp sees the most colors.
What's up, Bernard the Alchemist? We're talking about tetrachromatics and Thanksgiving and humiliation.
Oh my, that's the perfect topic for alien scientists who might also be joining to come crash your stream.
Oh, sweet. I was just talking about his stream. I just literally plugged him shamelessly. I was like, he is talking about some stuff kind of like this. Ironically, yeah, that'd be cool because he could.
We were actually watching your stream in his private stream just
this is
now.
hyper.
So, I'm going to post the link to your stream in his after stream so that everybody comes over, if that's all right.
Yeah, you can join in. We can talk a bit about tetrachromatics as well. That seems like a thing to do. He's got the science on it. I was just thinking about it philosophically, because it seems so crazy that you'd be able to see green. Yeah, well, you'll be back. All right. Seeing green, though, is such a crazy thing in general, the par density. Let's look at this.
Seeing green?
Right, because you have to imagine at one point that was so useful in order to detect foliage, because green is let me see if I can find plant.
Whoa.
Say this right.
Yeah, seeing green means growth, right? So it's good. Maybe it's got stuff we could eat off of it.
A lot of the par densities in the 500s. I'm trying to say visible light here, right? This is where you can see, and there's a crazy amount of light here that's just you're seeing is red. That's called infrared. This should be just crazy amounts of colors that we're not able to observe. And also this blue right here is a super strong, thick beam that should be a lot. This is kind of about half of this should be further color, and then ultraviolet also becomes invisible. So we're missing lots of color, and it's likely that something happened that's masking a big amount of the middle of the spectrum. Do you think it's possible
do you think it's it could be not a problem with our hardware, but our software? And if we unlock the concept of these colors, we'll start to see them. Because I know something you bring up a lot on Ultra is the color blue and how people didn't used to see blue. But I had actually a different understanding on that. It wasn't until men found something they can make a blue dye out of and have the concept of creating blue that then they're kind of like, hey, the water's kind of more blue than red, isn't it? The sky is kind of blue too. Because now they can make blue dye. They had the concept of blue and they're start noticing it everywhere.
So check this out. Thank God yesterday I just had chosen one-on-one podcast, right? He was on the show and he was talking about Han purple and Han blue. Have you heard of this? Have you seen this? You know what this is?
No.
This thing blows my. That's my best Jay Leno. Got it. I hope he's all right.
He had a picture with the nurses. He was standing up. He was looking at me. That's tough, man.
What happened again? He just
exploded in his garage. He suffered some burns, but it didn't seem to be on his face. He looked all right. Like I said,
I hope he does well, actually. Yeah. But all right. Chinese purple and Chinese blue. Han purple, Han blue. Guess what other word we could use? That's right. Tartar blue. That exists as a term. If you read for it. Anyway, synthetic barium copper silicate pigments developed in China and used in ancient imperial China from the Western Zhou period, 1045, 771 BC until the end of the Han Dynasty. This all doesn't matter because the flamenco timeline. Look how pretty it is. Let me get to the point. Go down to exotic properties and applications to superconductivity and quantum computer research. Yeah, that's the part.
It's like copper art. When you electrify the copper and burn it and it turns colors.
In 2006, scientists at Stanford Los Alamos National Laboratory and the Institute for Solid State Physics, University of Tokyo, showed the Han purple loses a dimension under suitable conditions when it enters a new state as a Bose-Einstein condensate. The researchers noted that we've shown that for the first time that the collective behaviors in a bulk three-dimensional material can actually occur in just two dimensions. Low dimensionality is a key ingredient in many exotic theories that purports to account for various poorly understood phenomena, including high temperature superconductivity. But until now, there was no clear examples of dimensional reduction in real materials. This is like right before graphene. So said Ian Fisher. Other researcher teams member alluded to the potential application to quantum computing. In conventional computers, electron charges transport information, but electron spin might in the future play a similar role in spintronic devices. So all of this, the most modern, what we're, how graphene exists, what we're learning about in terms of two-dimensional superconductivity, all discovered because of these paints, right? And these are the earliest, decent blues, which we do have from the BC period. But there's also Egyptian blue, which would suit that point you make, because it, this is what we call Egyptian blue, but it almost always looks green. It never looks actually that blue like that. The old pictures that we have, it comes out a green color. And if you look up green Vishnu or Shiva or Rama, let me see which one we can find. Green, you can find examples that originally Krishna, green Krishna. You can find green Krishnas, instead of blue Krishnas. So there is a period where we see a lot more subtlety in the par density between green and cyan, right? And this is also interesting because cyan is where the color that David Icke started wearing when he went full, his earlier pictures, teal clothing, his jacket. When he went like crazy and started wearing jumpsuits, quote unquote,
early 90s.
Yeah. This is like, it was all about, it was very, I don't know which.
Why was he wearing jumpsuits back then?
Because the world was about to end, and it was, you got to be ready to jump.
He was going through his like massive awakening. It was shortly after he had like a pillar of energy shoot through him in South America or Central America.
You got to remember, like, he used to be a sportscaster. There's a picture of him young.
Yeah, mainstream. He played soccer. He played football.
Yeah. I'm a bloke talking about football. Yeah, that's right. Like, this week, Manchester did well. Yeah, he's basically,
and he's got that voice.
And then he got hit by lightning, and then he's like, "I'm a Cockney flower, I am," and that's how it all went.
Holy shit, the reptilians!
Yeah, exactly. And like,
as it turns out, we're all slaves.
Thank you. You do it, Doug.
Yeah, he's got it, man. I always wondered about that, the origin of David Icke. I was like, how do you,
struck by lightning, right in the third eye. Yeah.
He
was a normal guy. He was a
Harry Potter.
Super normal guy, and he was like, you got to watch his Wogan.
Kind of.
His Wogan.
Well, that explains it though, because those experiments where they run a low current through people's brains, and all of a sudden they can like master a skill in like an hour, like become a master archer and stuff, and then they take the electrodes off and they go back to like normal person. It's kind of like a limitless thing, just hypercharging your brain.
He was on. This is him on a show called Wogan. Wogan's kind of is a big British podcast or talk show kind of thing, right? Wogan, yeah. So he had him on, and he made fun of him, and he had him telling the world about if we don't change things, there's gonna be earthquakes, and then eventually the world's gonna retaliate. We need to stop what we're doing, or else the world's gonna fight back. It's kind of this Gaia energy, et cetera, et cetera. And then people started laughing a little bit. It's like, yes, it's quite interesting. It's crazy. And then Wogan says, no, they're not laughing with you though, David. They're laughing at you. And then they just, after that, his kids are being made fun of in school and everything because he's talking about all this stuff. So finally, about 20 years later, he went back on Wogan, and Wogan was trying to be polite to him. And he's like, you know what? It shaped me, because after that, I realized I didn't have to pretend to care anymore what the British broadcasting company said I needed to look like or behave like, or, and I didn't have to pretend to be normal to protect my kids anymore, because they're already being mocked and made fun of. So I had to just isolate them anyway. So it was interesting because it showed really what happened to so many people when they got off of the path of just going with the flow of the trains,
So you've been publicly shamed by Ron Johnson, a great book about the topic of how people change after they've been publicly shamed. And it's a big theme of Othello too, Shakespeare. The immortal part of me, my reputation has been destroyed, and all that remains is bestial. It kind of restores you to like your proper relationship with reality, aside from society, when your reputation is destroyed, when you go through a shaming.
Yeah. Note to self, get that book. That seems like a useful thing.
Quick read.
But yeah, I think that does. Oh,
he's the guy that, just a quick aside, sorry. He's the guy that that set up Alex Jones breaking into Bohemian Grove. He was the facilitator of the whole thing, Ron Johnson.
Oh, interesting.
They have
Is this
beef
him?
now.
Really?
Yeah.
Ron Johnson? Wow. That is interesting.
He's also the Men Who Stare at Goats author.
Oh, okay.
Interesting guy.
Awesome. Okay.
Great books.
Cool.
But yeah, he must have some connections then, of course. He's
probably MI5 100%. Yeah. Look at the guy. He looks creepy.
Interesting. I mean, but it does get us into like days of humiliation again, because the idea of shame and if people take the time to self-flagellate each other.
Doug doesn't like it. Doug's like,
can you do that?
Yeah, no, Doug's about that, mate.
It was a hard pivot.
That was a hard pivot, Andreas.
Thought so?
Speaking of shame,
It was hard.
British
You're
people.
shaming my pivot.
We're shaming we're shaming.
So
you.
now it's all about shame now, because British people.
It is though, right? The
You
British
brought
people
quite
did.
a large mallet down on that point, Andreas.
No, I get it's a grass. Yeah, I get. No, I get it. It's not like you're grasping at nothing.
God, Doug is pretty British about it. I'm sorry. No,
I'm just saying, I'm going to hold you to a high standard. All right?
in the defense of the British people.
Yeah.
Surviving a humiliation is crucial to potentializing yourself. You'll never know your potential if you're afraid of social shame, being ashamed of yourself. If you go through all those and survive, it's like surviving a cancellation. You're like, oh, actually, you can't be canceled. Like, you just have to experience it. And then you're like, and now I keep on going, and that's not a threat anymore. It's paper tiger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have Lent. Catholics have Lent. Lent is not end. Lent is this kind of idea of, you give up. You give up for 40 days.
Yeah,
you don't have to give up everything, but you give up taffy or something, But like the cooler, the heart, everyone.
One thing you love, and you don't you eat it, Douglas.
Yeah, but some people take it pretty hard. Like, you get to a certain point where you're like, yeah, I'm gonna try to
taffy
fast
for you, little Dougie.
It's chocolate every year.
Chocolate? Oh, I love chocolate, bro.
The idea of trying to, emulate Jesus's 40 days in the desert spent fasting, trying to endure the temptations of Satan. I mean, I think we can all kind of relate to that, right?
Yeah.
Every day. Yeah.
Every day. I agree with Doug.
Well, yeah, it builds up a muscle, like discipline, for discipline's sake will make you a more interesting person. I mean, there's no interesting people who don't discipline themselves. I mean, that's the most boring kind of person, really. Just porn, video games. No offense to my gamer friends, everything in moderation.
Is there another, besides No Nut November? Isn't there another one too? Like, there's a bunch of these that are kind of Lent, like for November.
Sober October.
Oh, Sober October.
That's right.
That's smart though. You should. October is a good month to be careful. I feel like.
Yeah.
What's the
Everything
other
in
one?
moderation, including moderation. I forget who said that.
There's a no shave November, but I mean, I don't know if that's
By the way, I don't recommend anyone go a month of no nut. I don't think that's like holding in your poop for a month or something. I don't recommend that. I don't think that's.
I think poop and semen are different things.
Well, yeah.
Scientifically speaking,
yours don't come out the same.
I can say I was like, oh yeah, no, totally, that's right.
October, November 18th.
I respect just because there is literature. I was like watching
Kundalini snake.
Huberman Labs. I don't know what it's. I think Alexander. I don't think it's Alexander, but he's a neuroscientist who was on a podcast talking about how and while he's not advocating for this either, but he was talking about how there is literature out there, ancient and a little more modern, about how semen retention is a thing. It is an actual thing, and that people are experiencing benefit from retaining their semen, both in general as well as, like, he was talking about a particular practice where at the moment you are instead using particular muscles to heave it back in, and the reason he says he doesn't, it's just like
Kegels.
The dude who is doing it gets male Kegels, but the person got prostatitis from it, which is why he was like, yo,
that's what I'm saying. You can get prostate issues from it. Also depends how horny you are. If you're thinking about sex every day for a month and dealing with that, then you're going to have prostate issues. So I think it's more a matter of disciplining your mind. Like Jesus said, to even think of a woman is adultery. To think of to lust after a woman, even in your mind, is adultery. So it's more of a discipline thing. And I do understand the Kundalini, raising up the Kundalini
Hardcore,
energy.
Jesus, jeez, God.
Here's the question I have. Maybe Xirtus will know about this. The Ankh apparently was a tool that's a technology that's designed to capture the orgasm energy and retain it, or perpetuate it. So you can actually capture the sacred moment of orgasm when you feel like just for an instant you're connected to God or eternity or something, and actually keep that energy somehow for something.
I heard that before too. Yeah, Andreas, what's up with that?
I mean, you got to be careful, literally what you just said, because you can do it wrong. Basically, you can do it wrong. The point of when you're doing retention is you're supposed to focus. You're supposed to focus the energy. You're like, okay, right after this, I'm going to go write a book, and you just focus that energy going into your hands. I guess which is weird to me. I always thought you should focus that energy into your brain if you're gonna write, but no, your hands, because you're using your hands, right?
Well,
so that's a big part of it, is delivering that energy. If you don't deliver that energy, then it's just yeah. And if you're hyper focused on sexuality for it, the irony is people really interested in Kundalini tantric sex or Kundalini tantric energy are interested in sex, and sex is it's the least important part of it. It's a function, but part of a way bigger thing in terms of relationship and a goal and all this other stuff. It's like wanting to be famous and have money rather than that being part of the way to your goal. You need to just so people get so hung up on the sexuality of it that it takes them off of the benefit of it. And then I think you could really hurt yourself. This is something people don't talk about enough, is that Kundalini pseudo deaths and the retention not just of sexual energy, but of your brain melatonins, can become so toxic. One time I was driving, I used to do Kundalini 3 o'clock in the morning every day. One time I was driving, and at noon or 1 or in the afternoon, and I just went into I wasn't I didn't drink, I wasn't taking drugs, it was nothing like that. I was generally pretty much a vegetarian all the time, and I almost crashed. I came back to it in a second, but it felt like a week had passed in this just exert of DMT while I was awake driving. And I was like, whoa, I have to choose. I can't drive anymore if I keep doing this.
Yeah, driving on mind altering, whether you're on a substance,
driving on yoga,
or you're out of body, it's just not recommended.
I had a friend before I started Kundalini yoga too, who told me, he's like, if you start doing that, you're not allowed in my house, because he was a Christian. He was really afraid of yoga and stuff. And I was like, that's ridiculous. And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, I'm getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. The dude I'm hanging out with wears a turban. I get where he was going. This is like Harry Potter. It starts out chill and there's a unicorn. And eventually they're just pour the potion down my throat till I drink all the poison, Harry. And he's gay. Yeah, I get it.
That scene was intense. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a very intense scene in the 6th movie. Was it 6th?
Yeah.
This is definitely a plus 18 rated episode, hey?
No, that's just Harry Potter. We're literally just talking about Harry Potter. That was Harry Potter. And yoga.
Harry Potter. Did you put your name in that goblet, Harry?
They are doing a thing. I'm reminding people that watch, though, that we're supposed to go to the Discord to get the links, because until they review the episodes, I'm unlisting them until they're greened. So you get them live here, and then they go unlisted for a day now.
I need your help setting up my Discord and figuring out how to use Discord, because it seems to be pretty epic how you guys are utilizing it.
There's robots posting your videos into the Discord, so you have a room in there also, so you can post more stuff and you can mod in there. And so I'm just trying to build it into an integrated network, make it even bigger.
Andreas, someone just asked, who was the Hogwarts yoga instructor? I think it's McGonagall.
Shout out Red Goblin.
Yeah, because she did McGonagall for sure. Is this real? You do Hogwarts yoga now? That's that's a whole class that you can do. Oh man. Which Hogwarts yoga house do you belong in? Oh my god!
I feel like those are the girls you don't want to see in yoga pants, probably.
Just man. Fair. Okay. In terms of things going on in the world, you guys, anything that you guys wanted to bring up that you've been thinking about this week?
Well, I just want to say shout out to Novak Djokovic, because the news never really gives him much credit, but he ended the year winning the World ATP Tour title, which is basically the 8 best players are allowed to kind of enter into a Mortal Kombat kind of round robin, elimination. It's one of the most prestigious outside of the 4 slams. And he ended up being, I think, number 5 in the world. And when you factor in that he got 0 points for winning Wimbledon, which is one of the slams of the 4, and was not permitted to participate in the US Open, was not permitted to participate in the Australian Open, and despite being held out of 4 Masters 1000 tournaments. So basically imagine half of your schedule, you're not allowed to do it. And he still ends up like number 5, wins the most amount of titles of anyone in the year. And he did it with his dignity, and Australia's letting him back in, and he's stuck by his guns. And I just think that the news is not giving him credit. So I would like to give Novak Djokovic some credit. What a G.
Dude,
good
for
shout
sure.
out, yeah.
Who's the best?
It's amazing, too.
It's
amazing. His name is Novak. Like his whole situation, his story, and his name is Novak. Is like pretty amazing.
Care to comment on the world's best female tennis player? You know what I'm saying?
You mean who it is right now?
Right, because like they don't, the whole thing, right? Political correct tennis.
No, break it down for me.
What's happening?
We talked about this before. The lady who was the best tennis player, and they won't keep her. They won't keep her score because she's not a leftist.
Wait, what?
Female tennis player canceled. I don't know.
What?
She should consider identifying as a man that identifies as a woman. That might be a loophole.
That happens to be conservative. That's right.
Bro, bring this up, Andreas. I've not heard of this.
I totally forget. No, you told me this. I forget who it is. But like she was. Yeah, it's this lady, and she said stuff she wasn't supposed to say, and then they.
What did she say? Sandy Hook? I mean, what do you got to say? They don't even rank it.
Well, I remember China disappeared one of their tennis players for.
Right. It was an Australian or a British or an American. I forget.
Was it a chick?
Yeah, but I got to get out of here, unfortunately.
Are you talking about Margaret Court?
Oh, Seth. Yeah, sorry that we started so late, man.
No, it's all good. But I'm glad I got to hop on for a little while. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thanksgiving,
and all the
cheers.
All the Ultroids out there, and I'll see you guys real soon.
All right, later, brother. Andreas, you mean Margaret Court?
Probably. Let me go to her name in a second. I just want to make sure everyone knows
she got canceled, and they wanted to remove her name from the court she's named after.
That's what it is. Okay, hold on. VBDC guys, go to VBDC's link tree and check out his link tree. Get his music videos, his merch. He's got some pretty sweet shirts. So get to the shirts and download those shirts. Yeah,
he does
download
Talkie Time on Instagram.
I like that.
Go to his Instagram, Talkie Time on Instagram.
Right. This is the one right there. Yeah, go to Instagram, Talkie Time every day of the week. Click on that. And yeah, great music videos. Epic.
Some cool reggae music for show.
Margaret Court, though. So she was a tennis player. She says, yeah, this is it, right? And
she has the most titles of Grand Slams of any tennis player ever. It's 24. And Serena really wanted to break it, but didn't. And now they just kind of qualify Serena as the greatest in the Open era to remove her 24 titles. I know, Doug. I know. It's pretty unbelievable, especially when you were spending your whole career trying to break the record, and then you don't, and then you're like, well, but I'm still the best. Like,
we'll just lower the bar.
Lower the bar one slam. I did it. Yeah.
Well, what did she do that upset people that they wanted to? Why did they want to erase her, cancel her? What did she say? Like,
she wasn't very pro LGBTQ, and so they said your name should be stripped from the court, and you're terrible, and they want to basically erase her from tennis history. Yeah, like they never bring her up. They hate the establishment that runs the tennis, whatever you want to call that, the ATP, the WTA, or any of the in between. They really don't like Margaret Court, and it's kind of a shame because she's a tennis player, and you should respect her for her tennis merits, and that should be it.
Yes. You guys see the thing with the airline pilot who suffered suspected heart attack after takeoff and later died? Co-pilot heard relaying to air traffic control, "We need to return. Captain is incapacitated. He's knocked out. We're going to need paramedics." The pilot at a Chicago flight bound for Columbus, Ohio, passed out suddenly after takeoff Saturday morning, prompting a co-pilot to make return flight back to the airport. The pilot, who was a captain in training for American Airlines subsidiary and Envoy Air, later died at the hospital, according to reports. In an audio recording with the interaction of the air traffic control, he said the thing. After 37 minutes of time flying, the co-pilot was successfully able to return the plane back to Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Dear fellow pilots, last Envoy declared emergency immediately after takeoff. Despite heroic efforts to revive him, Captain in training Patrick Ford passed away.
Jeez. Well, rest in peace to him. That's terrible news.
Yeah, I hope he was at least vaccinated. Poor guy. Brutal. I don't know.
May he have safe travels in the next level of his journey.
Sky Captain, right? Sky
World
Captain.
of tomorrow.
Man,
movie.
there's a certain amount of coldness to that empathy.
Terrible movie.
Terrible.
Sky Captain of the World Tomorrow?
Sky Captain of the World of
Terrible.
Tomorrow was like one of the first movies that Hollywood's like, look, we have CGI.
Green
Lots of it.
screens are kind of cool, right, guys?
Mhm,
Let's do a movie with green screen.
Look at all these
Hear me
CGI.
out. Hear me out. I think this movie's great. I think that they did an okay job. I mean, granted, you had to imagine like it's kind of like it's like Star Wars Episode 2, and they had no sets, and that's kind of horrible and hard to work with. But the idea of automation and these elite that are immortal,
the idea
Jedi-
of it is very cool. The idea of it, sure. And if it was all just like a neat little comic book of the kick-ass, like old school illustration, I'd be all about it.
Mhm.
But I mean, what it's not. It's that they're trying to be like, we're a movie. Look at us. Hey, what's that over there? We can't tell either. Next clip. Like
it was kind of early CGI too.
it's hard. It's hard to get on board.
Do you ever see the immortal Nicopol immortal thing? You know what I'm talking about? This one?
No, but Andreas, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think Waterworld is a good movie?
I mean,
classic.
that is a complicated question.
Classic
It's
is
a complicated
correct
question. Thank
answer.
you. Thank
Very complicated question.
Yes, I
I
agree.
definitely don't think it's like it's
My
perfect.
answer is yes.
It's definitely not perfect. And I can see how the middle of the movie, especially, I felt like isn't perfect.
A long
there's-
middle.
But the thing is, I really wonder about Waterworld a lot because we never saw Waterworld. We've only seen the second or third edit of Waterworld, so we're not sure. And we definitely never saw what was intended. I mean, the entire set washed away in a hurricane, and all the original footage from the first
People
footage
died
filming.
filming it. It was the most expensive set ever built at the time.
But some of the cover-up shots, I think, for instance, the old man, what's his name?
Oh, yeah, the
from
guy with the air
from
balloon, hot air
1984,
balloon.
the guy from 1984 who's in it.
William. He's also in V Vendetta. He's Ollivander. God, William Hurt. I think William Hurt.
William Hurt. That sounds right. Yep, that's good.
Run.
No, not William Hurt. That's William Hurt.
Damn
That's
it.
William-
Damn it.
1984.
John
movie.
Hurt. John Hurt. I was close.
John
John Hurt.
John Hurt.
John Hurt. Waterworld. When he's in Waterworld, right? Is that right?
I think so.
Is he in Waterworld? What?
I don't know.
Who's the wizard in Waterworld?
Gotta Google wizard in Waterworld.
Because he's the. This is brutal. I don't know. Waterworld
I'm glad that we're
scene.
talking about Waterworld though, because it's a great movie in some ways. It's very,
It was, especially for its time, like for how old it was. Like it's an epic. There's a lot of esoteric occult knowledge exposed in it in the reset paradigm of our reality.
Absolutely. I mean, the web toes, just like Stalin, and they live at a water enclave. So all these people that kind of are forced to live together. There's some things that don't make sense, obviously, because desalination would be a lot more common and everything else. But the fact that they're still living on this paradigm of oil after everything is kind of ended already is the point. They're like, look, we can keep going. We can keep doing this. It doesn't matter. So that's kind of funny. And they end up on an island of horses. I wish David could comment on that because he just did that synchronicity film with the black horse, but right, like it's Mount Everest, right?
Not
Yes.
sure.
Yes. Yeah.
The final place that they end up is Mount Everest.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mount
So I mean,
Everest with horses.
right? Yeah. They do not do a very good job, like having scenes of that movie. But yeah, this movie was just so hated. That's the reason I think it's probably pretty good.
Yeah,
Like
it
if
was
anyone
hated.
hates,
It got a lot of hate, Andreas, like unnecessarily. Like
that's the thing that makes me think it's a good movie. Usually
Exactly.
because they're like they don't want you to like it. They don't want you to think about what it was trying to say. Same with The
Mhm.
Postman. The Postman. Kevin Costner movies are just cursed.
oh,
Right?
dude,
All
you guys, what was that movie?
post-apocalyptic.
What was that
Yo,
movie
the
that came out?
Postman. As far as I can remember, it was boring. So I don't remember much.
The
The
Postman.
Postman?
Yeah.
I loved The Postman. It's like my favorite movie. I interviewed David.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I interviewed David Brin, the maker. No, it's okay. You don't have to like 2.5 hour long Kevin Costner movies. That's not. You're okay. But the movie is about a kid who's 19, or 20 years old. He's like our age is the point. I forget.
The story is cool. The story is cool.
Well, yeah, I like the story, and you got Tom Petty, and so basically, it's living in a post reset. Everybody, there's been a nuclear, the EMP, everything's turned off, and these are all kids who grew up in the '90s, and now they're living in post-apocalyptic America. That's pretty relatable, and
Really? Yeah.
yeah. Do you remember the
It
movie?
was just like some old
the
postman,
internet
like
never
the
hit,
billboard.
right? This is
No,
like
dog. It takes place. He's like your age and my age, and what happens is he's walking across the desert with a mule, and he performs Shakespeare for these little enclaves that have survived the plagues, the EMPs, and the raging Mad Max period that came after. It hasn't rained since Tank Girl came out. It's just completely desert.
Oh, that's a classic I forgot about. Good old Tank Girl. I'm going to be right back. I just got to figure out my internet connection.
Right. Okay. Good luck. But yeah, he finds a vehicle that is to live in the wintertime to hide out in, and he steals the skeleton's outfit, and he tells everybody he's the postman from a nation that's bad, like it's US 2.0, and everyone needs to believe him because they need something, and so he kind of like helps build a new revolution because people, they just fake it till they make it. It's pretty good. I liked it. Very hardcore.
Again, very cool story.
Yeah, probably the book is the way to go. I will admit,
Have you read the book?
Yeah, the book is wild and very different. It has a lot of the most.
How different?
Very different. I mean, it cuts out a lot of the intellectual stuff. I mean, David Brin finished. The guy who wrote it finished the Asimov Foundation series. He wrote the last book for the Foundation series and completed the manuscripts that Asimov had. So he's probably the person who knows the most about Asimov in the world. And so it really, that's the part I felt like was really missing in The Postman. It takes out a lot of that kind of stuff because it was too heady for people, But it was a good movie. I mean, maybe not. Depends. You don't like 3-hour movies? What kind of movies do you like, Doug?
No. I mean, like, if it's a good, like, Lord of the Rings, you want to go for it. All right, I get that. Matrix, the even Reloaded for sure. I'm down. Stretch
Reloaded, yeah, but the third one, no.
No. Yeah, I know.
I know. I hate to go full Clerks here, but I feel like Lord of the Rings is like hyper overrated. I mean, don't get me wrong.
No, I understand.
I enjoy it.
I enjoy it.
This is mainly a dig because of the Postman thing. No, I'm just kidding.
It's funny.
But I can understand.
There's a couple scenes in the Lord of the Rings. I mean, I like what they did. I like Peter Jackson saying "Film much more for good luck." But yeah, it's like there's also kind of a level of they're just like. I mean, maybe I just am a cold, heartless guy.
Oh, wait,
like,
what part, Andreas? Like, what about it? Are you like?
It's just like
is it the relationship part? Is it that part?
I mean, yeah, it's maybe I just don't like Tolkien as much as I like C.S. Lewis. It could just be that. I feel like
the Galadriel scene where she's got the shitty CGI and she's like, "I would be powerful as the
storm." I like that part.
No, I like that part too. I honestly, I know it's in the book. I know it was in the book. I just didn't like the execution. I just thought "I Am No Man" was just the way it was executed.
I wasn't a fan of her casting. The way she's described in the book, it's not how I imagined her in the movie, and so I'm not disrespecting the actress at all. I thought she did a great job. But if I was casting it just purely visually and energy-wise, I would have cast it differently from my interpretation of her character in the book.
I would have hoped it was more like Resident Evil. It should have been like, we gotta get into Mordor. You know what I mean? It should have just been like art, because that's what I expected. Because I remember when it came out, I was thinking of Meet the Feebles, right? Which is the first movie that I saw that Peter Jackson made. I'm like, really? The guy who made the puppet movie about gonorrhea, he's gonna get to make. Have you seen that? Meet the Feebles?
No.
Yeah, you got to see Meet the Feebles.
It reminds me of, what was that? Fraggle Rock? That looks like a Fraggle Rock movie.
It's kind of that. It's like a dirty, grungier version of what would it be like if New Zealand had Fraggle Rock. What's up, Anthony Williams?
Oh, there we go. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, did Bernie send you here?
Yep.
Cool. I don't know the story yet. What's your name? You're Anthony. What are you doing? Tell us about your life.
Oh, I'm just interested in a lot of the technology and stuff, and some of the UFO stuff, and the free energy, and a lot of the stuff that seems to get buried.
Let's go hard pivot to free energy. All right.
Let's do it.
Tell me about some free energy projects that we should show our audience.
I think the bitoroid is one of the best. some of the things that I wanted to replicate.
The bitoroid. What's it do?
That's it. Basically, it takes and you have, whereas a normal transformer, you just have a primary and a secondary. This, you have a primary and you have two secondaries, where the back EMF from that would normally get reflected back to the primary is diverted to a physically different to the second, to the other secondary. So, so what it does is it changes the power factor to where you're barely loading the primary at all. So the Hines guy that came up with it said you're running off reactive power instead of real power. Is how he put it.
So basically, you put a little tiny bit of energy into it, and then it starts to cycle it and create more, or store it up.
Keep it going. And then, you could make a second one and recharge a battery and keep it going that way. That's what I want to try it.
That's pretty sweet.
This has like this diagram here has like 3 there, but that part on the top, you could get rid of that part on the top and just drive it from the part on the left, and then the part in the middle, you could get the power out. And the patent has the second part larger, so it has more permeability. It likes the magnetic field better. I believe that's permeability. I'm pretty sure. I get those words mixed up sometimes. And yeah, there you. Oh yeah, you found it.
Yeah, we gotta build some of this stuff. That's the thing. So Bernie, yesterday we were looking at some of the designs. And Jeremiah.
The motor part, I'm trying to. I kind of have his idea. I believe it's similar to the first one, but I'm having a hard time figuring out exactly how he's doing that there with the back EMF.
I like the idea of driving for free and having free energy. We've had Gerald on the show. Gerald has several of the devices in his house powered. He can power his computer and his stereo and his lights and all the things off of these coil battery banks he's building.
Oh, cool.
Bagel coil. Let's look at the Bagel coil really quickly. A Bagel coil electricity to find a picture of it. Bernie, do you have pictures of the Bagel coil to show him real quick? I was trying to show him a Bagel coil. Bagel. I can't spell bagel. Bagel. I spelled it right?
I think I might have seen that from last time.
Basically, just
coils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheese bagel.
Yeah. Speaking of hydrogen cars and free energy cars, are you guys aware of that ex-policeman who had a pickup truck, in fact, like a pretty big pickup truck running on some kind of hydrogen powered setup?
I had not heard of that. I know it's been Meyer's car.
No, I don't think that was the one. It was ex-policeman, I believe, in California, and he went on the local news. Yeah, exactly.
This
he
guy?
went on the local news, and
and they droned him.
Well,
that's right.
actually,
yeah.
I think he was he was black, but he was older. He was retired.
Oh,
and
I remember hearing about that one.
Yeah, so he went on the local news, and they did a story about his. I can't remember if it was water powered or what it was, but it was some kind of alternate energy thing. And then all of a sudden, he dies in a mass shooting where like 20 people die. Wow. And Biden goes on television and addresses the mass shooting, doesn't say F all about all the children that died, but mentions one person. He says, oh, and that guy with the electric car. Ha, ha, ha. Golly, what a terrible thing that was.
Biden said that?
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he didn't clap, but like he was. It was like a taunting mood.
Frightening me.
Yeah, that's chilling.
I want to see that.
Yeah, it was chilling. I mean, I've been doing some research recently on mass shootings, and when you look at the data, I mean, that stuff doesn't happen in other countries, and it's not because they don't have weapons, or I mean, there are criminals with weapons everywhere.
Well, it does, but it just doesn't get reported the same.
It's something in the Pepsi, man.
I mean, part of it is that
Like that Christchurch
in America, we're so
area.
over medicated. You know, people are put on Prozac at a young age, which totally destroys their ability to feel emotions.
Yep.
And I think that what's happening is that the powers that be are basically initiating, like, kind of Manchurian candidate style, using the internet to influence these kids, and getting, like, setting kids up to do this. You know, there's probably all kinds of technology used that I'm not privy to, but I think that it's going to keep happening and keep happening more frequently until the public comes out and says, "Hey, please, government, please take our weapons away." Because, you know, that's really their end goal. If we look at what happened during the whole lockdown and everything, to see how other countries fared during that, the ones that fared, I mean, America wasn't so bad, and I mean, in Australia, they had very severe lockdowns. In China, they're still having lockdowns.
Canada has had 3 lockdowns since the lockdown. Sorry, 3 gun bans since the lockdown started.
Jeez.
I think a lot of these are instigated. The last couple was all talking to the FBI.
Right.
Well, and then there was that one shooting
was
recently. I'm not sure I think it was the Uvalde shooting, where where there were parents that wanted to go in there and stop the shooter, and maybe some of them were armed, possibly, and the police held them back and said, "Oh, well, you can't go in there, and we're not gonna go in there to stop the shooter." And they just
they
let
were on
that
their phone
person
too.
run.
They were browsing their iPhones. There's footage of inside the school, and they're just like chilling in the hallway.
They yelled out to the kids.
Mute your TV, please. I can't hear anybody else.
Check,
Oh,
check,
Hello?
check. Check one.
Check 2.
Whoever just
Check
muted,
two.
whoever just turned it off, that fixed it.
Check.
Thank you.
Check.
I think it was Darth, because he's got a bunch of TV set up. What looks like it, a video playing, maybe.
That's the Batcave, yeah.
So the police actually called out to the kids during that shooting and said, "Hey, if you need to be rescued, say something." Kids call out, and then the guy shoots the kids who call out. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, the parents even went in there, and they tried to stop the parents.
right.
Yeah.
Well, they
That
did stop some of the
whole
parents. They
story
arrested
I
them.
feel like it's harder to do this in China, though, because they have drones everywhere with cameras recording all the time. And so, you know, maybe this is kind of the thing that's the promise of surveillance. Like, well, everything will be seen. So
There are stabbings, though.
It
There are
doesn't-
still a lot of stabbings that happen in China that do go underreported. There is still plenty of violence that
wow,
happens.
at kindergarten, 2 dead, 16 injured, and stabbing at kindergarten in southern China. 24-year-old suspect detained by police. Okay.
it's usually
well,
kindergartens and schools. Like
when you're
this.
right, you're right, Doug.
I think a lot of this is instigated. Maybe people doing the whatever it was called, where they brainwashed the people.
American Ultra, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
but it could
yeah,
also be that we're all kind of crazy in America. We
Yeah.
have all these live tracks on our TV, these weird. I mean,
think
everyone
they're
likes to
doing
blame
it
video
to
games and rock and
kids.
roll. I think it's Google. I think we're radicalized by the internet, right?
No,
Because-
If you watch
it's
television
not
every
just
day,
that,
then you're
because
not
the
in
FBI has been
control of
in contact with these kids.
some of
I
them.
just have
But
to point out Bobcat's comment that it actually appears to be the exact opposite, that there are several processes of making hydrogen that are over efficient, and that it takes less energy, less electricity to produce the hydrogen through the electrolysis than you get from the hydrogen fuel when you burn it. So it's a potential over unity in several different cases.
Yeah, talk about over unity for a second for people that keep hearing you say it. So when you say over unity, what kind of alchemist nonsense is that?
It's not nonsense, and it is the key to humans' free energy independence, or energy independence, and also anti-gravity. And it comes from over efficiencies. And one example is Gerald's system that he's made, WPG Enlightened for Truth. He's on our Real Science podcast a few times, the hover coil inventor Gerald. But his Fun with Alternator series, where he's connecting 3 alternators to one motor and battery, and so it takes only one of the alternators running from the motor to then recharge the battery that's running the motor, and then you have 2 extra alternators running off that same system that are producing extra electricity, extra energy out of it by having it over efficient, over unity on it.
I mean, virgin magnets and copper coils. I mean, so when you can get more energy than you put into the thing, isn't that breaking the laws of
so
Newton?
The technicality is that you have to look at it from an open source mind, and that it's an open source circuit. It's not an open source circuit. They're still closed circuits, but it's that you're bringing in higher dimensions, more than just one circuit into it, so that you're harvesting these extra energies out of and adding them into your closed loop circuit. Thus, it's over efficient. It's not like you're technically not bringing something out of nothing. You're just
field energy that's ambient. Okay.
Yeah, you're hacking the system essentially.
Well, you could say catalysts do the same thing. Like a nickel catalyst, you can put that in water and it'll keep making hydrogen.
Exactly. There's so many different examples of it, and it's that people just need to think outside of the box of the 3 laws of thermodynamics, and that you're not actually breaking the laws, you're just tricking it or adding to it, and that the more you add in, the more you're going to get out of it.
Stan Meyer, he's got his whole book of goes into detail of his principles.
Who?
Stan Meyer, the guy that made the water car.
Stanley Meyer, the hydrogen-powered car, the guy that got assassinated by, I believe it was Belgium or Denmark. Originally, the Saudis tried to buy his patents. He refused, and then I think it was the Belgians that poisoned him.
Dang. So, but he put the designs out there. Are they available? You can make this?
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, because so many of these guys build this kind of stuff, and we hear about it, and then they disappear. And you're like, well, maybe they were just trying to get famous or something like that. But then that's not a good way to do it, because oil companies would kill them. And you never know if they don't put the information out, if we don't have a way of rebuilding the tech. So
how would we know who to aim at next? Yeah, go ahead, make it. Dare you?
Doug's not in any worry of building an electric-powered car or water-powered car anytime soon. Is that what you're saying? You don't want to get in trouble?
I've actually got a guy that I'm in contact with that will be coming on one of our future Real Science episodes. He's actually my grade 7 science teacher.
He's building water energy?
He actually has a patent for $1 million motor that uses hydrogen. It's a hydrogen combustion engine.
Wow.
So he will be coming on.
Wait, that's awesome. But Doug, wait, what were you going to say? You're not a risk taker in that way? You don't want to die?
Well, and to that point about the hydrogen combustion car, I've heard now there are definite whispers talking about how this is going to be our next green leap technology. They're going to attempt to use hydrogen cell or hydrogen fuel cell.
Exactly.
Trudeau just signed a deal.
All the major energy companies, the European Union, Canada, everyone,
Simon,
hydrogen is the energy fuel of the future.
Simon, what do you say?
Trudeau just signed a deal to transport hydrogen. It's not going to help Europe this winter, but
it's a 10-year deal. I heard about that. Please go on with it, Simon.
Oh, that's basically it.
With all the specs for the Stan Meyer book.
What do you have from the Stan Meyer book? What?
I posted a link for it.
Oh, cool. Hold on.
In the chat.
Yeah. So supposedly Stan Meyer's twin brother is still alive.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's
kind of weird.
There's another guy too called Meyer Mace that uses nuclear resonance to generate power.
I'll put a link to this in the Discord, guys, if you want to go through this.
That's also a link in there. It's really interesting.
As far as hydrogen engines go, like combustion engines, there's the Bork, which is pretty efficient. It's like next level up after the Boxer. It's BOU.
Only the start of that is in French. If you go down one page, it's all in English. It's translated.
Okay. Wait, I'll go back. Hold on.
Stan Meyer's twin. Just throw that. That's what he was saying.
Thank you.
So many things at once. Wait, Sam Meyer's twin. It's not the right one.
It's like
We'll
a
find him.
Thanksgiving
Yeah,
party.
he's been doing some stuff too.
Over unity. You know what I mean? I love it. I love it.
Doug's right. Bork engine attempt by Russell Bork in 1920 to improve the two-stroke internal combustion engine despite finishing his design and building several working engines. The onset of World War II, lack of test results, and the poor health of his wife compounded to prevent his engine from ever becoming successful or brought successfully to market. Okay. So it's a wangle nut, though, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty
100%.
sweet. A wangle nut, instead of just like pistons that shoot up and down, it spins, right? It does that spinning motion. Like
Yep.
And wangle.
A
Wangle.
wangle nut.
You could have that to run off.
Question was Dan
Great
Myers on the
bowling
shuttle?
tuning.
No, he was not an astronaut. He was an inventor, a hydrogen fuel inventor, the water-powered car, and he was poisoned by some quote-unquote energy investors from Belgium, apparently.
Andreas, I think the technical term is a Scotch yoke.
Scotch yoke. Okay. For
That,
the
Good
the
band name.
second one, the Rex Research, that's really interesting. That it's basically it's taking like an iron bolt and it's running 115 kilohertz through it, and it's converting some of the iron into like a different isotope. Then it decays, produces radiation, and that makes more power in it. If you can go back to the link, you can go down to see the schematic. It's fairly simple.
this one here.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, I go to the second page where it's in English. He says. Yeah, it says in English somewhere.
RexResearch.com is just the most amazing archives of free energy and esoteric knowledge ever.
By the way, the Wankel engine you were showing earlier, there's another version that just came out where it's basically the inverse. So you have a Dorito-shaped cavity and then like a round-ish thing spinning around in it.
Where would I find that? New reverse rotary engine aims for extreme efficiency. Dang. Oh, that's sweet. I
Is
want
that like that Mighty, what is it? Mighty but Tiny engine, I think it's called. MYT engine.
Mighty but tiny engine. MY.
Magnetism is essentially sound energy.
MYT. But it was tested by NASA. It's like got great mileage from it.
I don't know. I like the idea of free energy in general. I mean, in the efficiency of these things. Well, I mean, like I want to have it. I want
Yeah.
I want to have the coil tower. I want to have these things sending electricity everywhere. I mean,
I want to have that. I'm going to pay for it. Yeah.
Is there a reason that the FCC wants to, keep these things locked down? Like, is this dangerous? It sounds like shooting electricity at people, having hyper efficiency. Maybe that's dangerous stuff, right? Like maybe it needs to be licensed and controlled.
Yeah, so anything that is hyper efficient or over unity instantly gets classified by the patents office into national security under a military branch, either usually Air Force or naval.
Yeah, the only way that we will ever get it is open source, because then it's out there in the open. There's no point killing you anymore.
I think there's a few things out there that just rely on being ignored, though. Like the Stan Meyer, that's been out in the public knowledge for a while now, but everybody's told to believe it was a fraud.
Yeah, after they killed them.
This thing, I haven't seen a lot of people mention it, but the few that I have said that it works good.
What do you guys think about Coral Castle? Do you think that the guy, the story is he could levitate these stones and cut them?
Yeah. Ed Scallan's books on magnetism and electromagnetism. I think one's called Sweet 16. Very, very underrated knowledge, and some secrets are definitely within it.
Ed Scallan, Sweet 16, and that has to do with the 16 virgin magnets, right? Lead scale.
Very cool.
Yeah, so he
moved it. He built it and then he moved it. Did he move it twice? I know he moved it at least once.
Right.
But, yeah. The dude.
How did he move it?
We still trying to find out. I mean,
impressive.
2 kids apparently rolled up on him late at night and saw him with 2 cone-shaped things in his hands and some sound, and he was making stones levitate. That's what they said. That's what
like the technique of the monks.
Well, there's a couple weird.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
First off, he went to the worst place he could find. And they said he rode a bicycle without rubber tires, just the metal wheels, going around with a dowsing rod. And eventually he found the place he wanted. And then he bought it, and they're like, no one can grow anything here. Why? It's like just coral bed. So all this giant coral stone. And if you ever see someone trying to like laser cut coral stone, it's like impossible to cut coral stone. I don't know, it just chips. They did all these experiments on cut coral stone. It's really difficult to get at a perfect rigid angle like his is. Coral Castle is all these perfect squares.
If you want to look up
Vinny St. Vincent shapes. Sorry.
Vinny St. Vincent channel on YouTube. I've actually been in touch with Roy, the guy who runs that channel, and he has recreated the Edleed Scallon flywheel. Not his short videos, but he's on a cruise right now. But as soon as he's back in Florida at his workshop, he will be coming on to talk with us. But he's actually been able to levitate some stones. If you go into his videos, go down about 2-3 years ago, he's got videos of him running the flywheel and it actually levitating stones when he connects it in with a couple of Tesla coils, bifilar coils.
That's pretty sweet. I mean, these are the tools, by the way, that people say they thought he used to do this. So he has these wooden beams and he's got some chain rope, but it's just him. And there's only these pictures of him just like holding it there, but no one ever saw him working because he only worked at night. And then he'd just be, whenever it came up on him.
Story of the kids that said that they saw him using 2 ice cream cone looking devices and had floating stones when they're spying on him one night.
Yeah.
No way he moved all that with just that little crane setup. He definitely had to be doing something else.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, and so the whole thing is he talks about his Sweet 16, and the book says his Sweet 16, but his magnet
guy too.
His machine has 16. That is 16. So the idea is 8 and 8 pure positive and negative female male magnets, completely pure magnet, virgin magnets.
I heard magnets were supposed to be out of a Model A car.
Maybe. I mean, the thing is, you could fit this into a car. You could run anything off of it. Was his plan? That was the idea. That's what we've heard so far. Is that you could use any, and so this just required basically a coil system, and that's why all that's left is this, because whatever else was on it was taken off. They took the main part that was in the middle of it. This is what's left. So these were connected to whatever it was. It seems like it was probably a bagel coil, but we're not sure. But if it was a lot of metal, then that would make a certain amount of sense. Giant, what's up?
That and why the odd shape
How's it going, guys?
Circular.
You have thoughts, Giant, on free energy, the Coral Castle, the free energy motor?
Yeah, I used to look into this guy back in the day, and there was something that used to come up when you would search for the kind of coral that he was cutting out, and it would say that there's like iron oxide, and there's like a black and a white material. So I think the black was the iron oxide, and if you charge it in a certain way, it would actually be anti-gravitic, but you can't find it anymore. I was able to find it on Wikipedia, all kinds of stuff 10, 12 years ago, but nowadays I try to look up the same thing. I can't find it. There used to be a connection to the Masons of Pennsylvania and the knot art that they would have on their roof, but all the stuff is gone. This is older stuff.
Doug, you know who this guy is? Eric Dollard.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sounds familiar.
It's like 80%
Berkeley guy.
This guy,
Eric
built,
Dollard is a legend in the over unity high energy research field.
he built so much stuff. He would send free energy grounded from one little pole he put in the earth like 100 miles away and pick up the energy on the other side of it. And eventually they just like shut him down. Like they ran him out of town, and he lives in the desert in his car. And, you know, people have worked so hard to gather his work and put it into books and stuff, because it's just, you know, but yeah, his life was turned upside down for providing all of this free energy stuff, especially once he started doing a couple YouTube videos. Then boom, his life was just turned upside down. And there's some people involved with a project that he was on that were, someone came into the project and like just deleted all the papers, destroyed all the records, did everything they could to like destroy the work they were doing.
How much power was he getting?
He was getting a lot of power, man. He was getting a lot of power. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know, you know, he was able to, you know, he could do anything. He could run his own car, rent all of his own equipment. He was getting free energy from UHF signals. You know, he was able to contain it.
Didn't he show a whole universe in a light bulb?
Yeah, what's that? If I can find that.
Fun fact about Eric Dollard: he grew up on military bases and was exposed to all sorts of secret projects in his youth.
Yeah, it's very much a comic book character, you know. And then they spilled the magic plasma on him, and he became over Unity Man.
Plasma. Have you seen the Plasma Channel's fuser?
No.
Oh yeah, great work on Plasma Channel.
Where do I go? Let me see here.
His new plasma engine thing, the ion engine.
What do I look for?
Nuclear
Thruster.
Star in a Jar is pretty good there, right there.
This one, okay.
Thank you. Yes, star in the jar. We gotta keep developing. Next is putting cymatic frequencies and the solfeggios into, and square waves and whatnot into the star in the jar reaction.
So what is he doing? What is the star in the jar experiment? What's our creation?
Star in the jar is what we did. I
It's
think.
the
Are you
plasma.
talking about Plasma Channel?
Got it.
Yeah, with the vacuum pump and yeah.
Oh yeah, just watched that like last week.
So why would, you know, plasma looks cool, but like what would we do with plasma?
So plasma is the key to transmutations and cold fusion. Plasma is where all of these over unity reactions happen, the transmutations happen, as well as the source of higher energy. And I believe that plasma is the medium to pull etherical energy out of the vacuum or the 0 point or whatever you want to call it, whether it's dark energy, whatever, but from this higher dimensional energy into our realm is through the plasma, whether it's through these spark gaps plasma access or through the different plasma fusion reactors. It all has to do with the plasma and then tapping that plasma for your energy.
Regardless of whether it's from a different dimension or anything, we know that stars take elements and fuse them together into heavier elements, and stars are made of plasma. So,
and plasma is actually the fourth state of matter. It is a higher dimensional matter.
Right. So that's an interesting ionized matter. So when we talk about plasma, it's about ionization. What does that even mean? What do you believe about ions? And
so ionized gas is essentially gas atoms in a plasma state.
Yeah, so think of gas, but the electrons are free to roam around.
And where are they going?
To other atoms in the plasma.
So they can share electrons, or they can share ions.
Yeah, they're just loose. So
yeah, I think
very casual atmosphere, baby. Yeah.
How long
it's
does
an open relationship.
the electrons, though? How does the nucleus stay intact without the electrons? Because I thought when they were on their own, they only lasted a few seconds.
They communicate very well, I think.
That's what I've always heard. If you have a proton, its life is like about 10 seconds if it's not in a nucleus.
Well, I mean, you're going to have electrons bounce. I doubt one's going to be without an electron for all that long.
Okay, so it's just basically electricity.
Well, like every single atom in that cloud.
Swapping the electrons so fast, right?
Well, like if you
Right
have
out of
like
a warm
10
body.
atoms that have, that are in a gaseous state, and then you put them into a plasma state, you're still going to have the same number of electrons between all of them. So, unless
People get really confused about this idea, though, because we're very monadic. Yesterday, we did an episode on homunculus, and the idea of the atom, we think about the atom as this. Here, look, it's a ball. It's a ball with things going on. That's not an atom. That's crazy. That's a monad. Monad is this idea of kind of alchemically that the universe is made up of small things.
John D. Sorry. Oh, excuse me.
No, yeah. Wait, say it again. Adonti?
John D. John D. Sorry.
Oh, John D.
Excuse me.
Doug over here just quietly thinking thoughts. You know what I mean? But this is huge because John D's like, you know what? Monadicism, that's only half the picture. That's what you're missing. It's actually homunculatomic.
Oh, yeah.
Something.
Sapphire Project is great.
I absolutely love the Sapphire Project.
Wait, tell me more. I don't even think I know what that is.
Yeah, what is the Sapphire Project?
Oh, Google image search it. It's such.
Oh, I got a picture of Giant on, and Giant, you look great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just gonna. Here we go. And then this is this.
So Sapphire Project does a bunch of cold fusion experiments and hydrogen plasma and plasma state fusion.
Well, they're replicating a sun with the idea that the sun is powered by electricity, not fusion. That
well, they are getting fusion
a charge from the rest of the galaxy that it's flowing through in the magnetic fields.
Do you think the sun is real? I know birds aren't real, but the sun. You've seen these pictures of the sun recently, and there's people who have these YouTube channels. It's like it feels like a fluorescent bulb. I feel like that scene in Joe versus the volcano where he goes to work and the light, he sees that like light bulb. He's like staring at the light and he's like, I can feel the sucking the soul out of my eyes. That's what it feels like. So I like wintertime now because of the fake sun. Am I wrong?
I know one thing. I'd swear the color has changed from when I was younger.
Yeah. Was it like? It was yellow when you were a kid. Now it's white or what?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like that happened in my lifetime.
These trails is definitely bullshit. We used to have a blue sky in the day and a black sky at night. Now it's a white haze most of the time.
Dude, what was the one? I saw this great picture.
I've seen the planes leaving the trails. I had one. It came in from the northeast, made 5 parallel trails, and then went right back to the northeast. Now, if somebody can tell me why a plane would come here when the closest airport that direction is 32 miles away, that I can find on the map.
32?
Down here, make 5 trails, and then go back home. I would like to know. I can only come up with some kind of either like a training mission or atmospheric experimentation. That's the only ideas that I could come up with.
I wanted to find the picture to show you, but I've seen it myself in Brazil. There's a place where you can see like the sun and the moon at the same time, only it's still nighttime, which is like the weirdest possible thing that could happen. I think is when it's nighttime, but you see the sun. Because like, isn't the sun supposed to make it bright? Right?
Right. Or I think the weirdest thing is seeing stars through the moon.
When have you seen stars through the moon? Really? It's a thing?
Yeah, through like a crescent moons. There's lots of pictures of stars appearing through the blocked outside.
Is that with the naked eye though, or a telescope? Because I was thinking it might be a reflection in the telescope.
Naked eye, usually from when I've seen it.
Huh.
I do want to look at it through my telescope, though, the next time I see it.
We keep thinking, though, that everything are these solid chunks, right? And like maybe it's more loosey-goosey. Maybe the universe is more plasma.
No, there is the moon is a plasma theory.
Hey, has anybody seen the Bruce Sees All channel? He has.
Oh yeah, I love Bruce Sees All. Great chit work by Bruce over in Montreal. Backyard.
That's it. There's definitely stuff moving there.
Radio telescope on the moon.
NASA reported it because NASA back in the 50s, before they had the moon landing, they called them transient lunar phenomena. When they would for like hundreds of years, people would see things moving around on the moon, lights lighting up, clouds, lightning.
And we call them lunatics, right?
Lunatics.
Who's laughing now?
Full moon causing the lunatics. Sandor Phoenix stating we're starting to sound like archaics. Oh dear.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I am curious about this, so I like to hear people, suggest their things.
All I know is we never went back for a very long time, despite technology becoming amazing. I just think that's weird. That's all. I'm not saying we
Right,
didn't
and
go.
the
I'm
claim
not
that
saying
we
that. I'm just
lost.
saying it's kind of weird. That's all.
You ever read that book, Who
Claim we
Built the
lost
Moon?
the technology to get back there. That's what is like. Come on, what the bloody
Where'd
F?
that tech
Hey,
go? I
according
don't
to
know.
Buzz
It's
Aldrin,
gone.
we could go back to Mars.
Did you
I didn't
guys
know we
read
could in the first place.
Did you guys read Who Built the Moon? It's so in the 60s and 70s, the Soviet Union started saying the moon is really weird. For instance, it's what other planet are we looking at that's our size that has a moon? That's weird, and that it's this close, that's unusual, and it's that big, that's not heard of. And it just kind of one side follows you like a tracking, just looking at you the whole time.
It's pretty strange.
Then they did some measurements on the mass, and then when the moon rang like a bell when they ran into it because of the metric.
Yeah, that's the most interesting thing. I mean,
that's not an accident that the metric, telling you that, oh yeah, they use the metric system instead of yards. No, I mean, that was intentional so that they could ring the moon like a bell as a test. And what they found was, it seems like the moon is hollow, and this is part of the proto-Earth theory, which is, people hate space talk, but I mean, I imagine this at least kind of metaphysically. The idea, I mean, the fact that they named it Thea right after the goddess, and so it's collided, and this is very similar to the stories of the Anunnaki. So this is our scientific. This is the way dinosaurs rebrand dragons.
Yeah. All three of we can't go back now. We don't have the technology. That's like so much bullshit.
That is so much bullshit. I have to agree. That's some horse shit. Like, where'd the tech go? I don't know.
Artemis
satellites.
We're getting a slow roll back up there with Artemis. Artemis is going to do a loop-de-loop, then come back. Then
I have a question for everybody on the panel. I got a question. What do you think the astronauts saw when they first went to the moon and came back? Or what do you think they were told before they did their press conference? Anyone?
My experience and research into that, there's the missing and back channel radio conversations from the astronauts to ground control, as well as the missing footage that shows that they were encountering quote unquote bogeys, and that they did encounter a bunch of different
bogeys are demons, by the way,
UFOs and all sorts of stuff, that entities up there.
I thought bogey just meant unidentified.
Bogeyman.
No, so bogey comes from bogomil, and it's actually a pejorative the way people say tarnation about the Tartars, and Tartar became Tartarus. Bogomil was because of the Second Crusades. The Crusades, the boogeyman. And boogie also means great. So
yeah, but I mean, as pilots use it though. Doesn't bogey mean?
Well, right, yeah. There's a gremlin on the wing of my plane. There's a gremlin on the wing of my plane.
Bobo.
Do you remember that movie?
I remember that.
It's on Mars, where there's a fucking ghost that's killing all the people.
Good Planet Zone episode.
Which ghost is in which one?
Some movie that takes place on Mars.
And there's a ghost killing them? Yeah.
Capricorn one.
And you know what's weird? Every movie on Mars is about ghosts. So Red Planet is about ghosts.
About Blue Moon Conspiracy with Elvis Presley.
This movie's totally about ghosts that send humans, like the Anunnaki spawn the Earth. What's another good Mars movie? Martian Chronicles is about ghosts. Martian Chronicles. They actually meet ghosts on Mars.
Which was the one where at the end he took off in some kind of a ship? That they had the face where the door opened.
There's a Mission to Mars, Gary Sinise.
I don't know. I mean, that one's not about it. Maybe that one's not about ghosts.
What about Capricorn?
That one's not about ghosts with Gary Sinise.
Should be though. Capricorn 1. Capricorn 1's a great movie. Capricorn 1 is the most realistic portrayal of what would happen. Is like, yep, we screwed up. We've been working on it, but there's one little thing we can't do it. So you know what? We have a backup plan so the Soviet Union doesn't find out. And that seems to be everyone's story. Is it's most important thing they can do is defeat the Soviet Union ideologically, make the Soviet Union feel like they're psychics and they're have the space. Star Wars project, all that stuff is more hyperinflated. I mean, the fact is we probably couldn't really run the systems that Star Wars claimed it could run, but it was such a good advertisement. It was, our answer to propaganda is the TV commercial. Like, yeah, you can get this.
How about Elvis and the Blue Moon Conspiracy? It connects to it.
Oh, go into this. Yeah.
I haven't heard of that.
So all these things are all Capricorn related. So Elvis
right.
and the Blue Moon Conspiracy is that all these things are The Dark Side of the Moon and Sid Barrett, right, with the Pink Floyd, and he's the same birthday as Elvis Presley, David Bowie, right? All these people are all connected into this moon thing, and this is where Capricorn 1 comes in, is that Capricorn and the moon are connected because they're astrologically right across from each other. It's Saturn and the moon is Capricorn and the moon, and then the other Saturn is Aquarius and the sun. They're the opposing positions astrologically and astronomically also.
And the whole Moonchild ritual is to be born in Capricorn, right, at the beginning. And so a never-ending story. Yeah.
Yeah. All these guys are connected into it, and they're going to have some sort of moon conspiracy or lunaticism. Jim Carrey and all this stuff, they're all Capricorns, and they're lunar children. They're they kind of act like lunatics.
Interesting. Andreas, what do you think they saw on the moon when they went there? Did they
That's
go to the moon?
Yeah, it's presupposing that all worked well and then they got to the moon. But I get the feeling that here's what I think. I think that while they were filming the whole thing, that they were doing something in a spaceship. Here's what the spaceship looked like. This is what the spaceship looked like. They were standing in it, and there were 3 people, on the outside, Freemasons, who made sure that they were north, west, and south, and then someone who's west, east, and south, and then someone who's facing north in their chair, and that they saw bogeys, right, because they were interacting with other realms and dimensions, and all this stuff definitely had technology involved. It's probably looked like this.
I remember when they said, did you see where they said that they said they were watching us, and they said their ships were enormous and menacing, I think was the word they used.
Oh,
Doug, what do you
enormous
think about that?
and menacing.
Yeah, Doug, what do you think?
Yeah, they're just watch it again. Yeah, just ignore them.
No. I've certainly heard that description of what happened when we went out to the moon, where I've heard descriptions of it being various different levels of like water. Enoch has a reference where he gets told the certain divisions of the heavens and where certain things go, when, and why. Giant crystalline cities and like massive city-sized UFOs. I don't know. It's weird, man. It's weird. Okay. Do we live in the whole space situation that we thought we lived in or not? Because it certainly doesn't feel like it. It really
I thought
seems
that was
like...
crazy until I see some of that stuff that Bruce sees all channel and stuff and something like that. It's like he showed a lot more than anybody else has on that.
And so look,
I feel like there probably are realms,
I can see that myself.
There
could
way
be
more
realms
information out that says we are not living in what is presented to us in 5th grade in school. Like, here's science. Get it? Got it. Don't ask me any questions.
But part of the stuff they tell you in science seems to be like on the nose, like metaphor for what's really going on. So for instance, holographic universe, and they tell you that the stars are so far away that they're already dead. In other words, you're looking at the past. In other words, you're looking at this space here now, but in the past. In other words, space-time is entangled. And when you look at the Martian surface, you're looking at a realm that is Earth in the past or in the future, whatever that really means. It's a separate parallel, but everything is existing in a holographic flat plane. So
yeah, I don't think they mean to do that to you in school, though. I don't think they're not, hey, child, like that's not happening. But yes, you're right. They are tripping over and going, oh, wait. And clearly it got to you because you were
I think that they tell most people enough that you can ask more. Or you can go to work instead.
Well, if you're, and that's a good point. Do you think that everybody comes to a point early in their schooling where they're like, whoa, this blows. I don't want to have anything to do with this. Or, okay, I can see this work out. If I really, lean into this, something good's coming down. Do you think there's a moment early in that process?
Yeah, I think that people, I honestly think kindergarten teachers pick kids, I really do. And I think that certain kids, granted, a lot of teachers do their best at first because part of their whole meaning of life is to bring meaning to kids. And they'll seek out kids that they think have issues and try to help them because they think that's the kid. If I just and then I could say I saved their life. I won't say it, but deep down I'll feel that way. So that's a good thing, and that you can actually inspire a lot of kids. But it seems like for so many people, that gets to be a certain point, probably by 3rd or 4th grade, where they give up on kids. I mean, I don't know. They keep getting new teachers and all, but they're like, okay, well, this kid not probably going to end up doing my dreams for them. And so I'll just kind of like do my best right here, and I'll focus on these other kids. And I've seen that happen a lot.
Living vicariously through someone else's kids is another level, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to be careful. I mean, teachers can be really cool, but it's like you got to also, it takes a big part of their lives and energy, and so they're really invested in. I don't know. It's a lot. What's that movie? Green Mile. It's like the Green Mile, basically. Teachers are just like, I can do it for you, boss. Oh,
that movie's dark.
Math homework.
Yeah, Kindergarten Cop, also kind of similar idea to Green Mile.
Movie. Great.
About it.
Who's your daddy?
2, 3,
What
4.
does he do?
Just put me in the electric chair, boss. Yeah, I wish they would cross those two movies together. Someone should mix them. But I don't know. So all of the cool papers that you can find on space travel are through remote viewing. That doesn't mean that's the only thing going on.
Ingo Swann remote viewed the moon, and he saw. So one of those remote viewers, remote viewed the moon, wrote a book about it. Penetration, great book. Talks about what he saw. Apparently, he saw structures shaped. Crafted high technology, no seams or ridges or anything like that. And he did also see some kind of humanoid being. Looked like they were outside, either in a skin suit or naked. He couldn't tell either way.
On the moon?
On the moon surface.
Whoa.
They were like digging around on the moon, and they recognized that a presence of. He was like, I know that they knew that something had showed up. Because 2 of them were like, hey, over there, what's going on? I don't know. Come on over. It was very strange, to say the least. So, yeah, structures. He claimed that it felt as if, and again, this is remote viewing. Take it all with the massive, big old salt lamp. But still, the persistence of evidence that is able to be verified in previous accounts, especially with Ingo Swann and a couple of moons, I think, is Saturn or Jupiter. But the dude was on point.
What do you mean by a skin suit?
Just that when he viewed these beings on the moon that he claimed looked humanoid, they looked humanoid enough to either be in some kind of skin-tight suit or be naked. He was like, I couldn't tell, but that's what it was like. It was like they were
that Men in Black thing.
Oh,
Skin
you mean like
suit,
an Edgar suit? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, the Edgar suit. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
That was pretty good. You can take my rifle from my cold dead hands.
Your proposal is acceptable.
That was good.
Nice.
I mean, yeah. So, what was it? Was it an exosuit, or was it just like superheroes wearing skin suits?
He left shortly after they recognized that they recognized him, And the one thing I can say is that some other dude who was able to get access to some of the private sessions that Ingo Swann did for private clients was able to read and kind of look through and put together that he went back to the moon to view a similar area. And this is, again, massive salt lamp. But this dude who had Ingo's private remote viewing sessions for a client stated that he went back, got to communicate with these beings, and these beings showed him around the moon as a base, and it's a base where they apparently are genetically organizing a kind of multi-tiered mini civilization where they breed psychic warriors, they breed mechanics, mathematicians, scientists. Like, they recognize early on, okay, they're going to be good at this, boop, boop, beep, and they cook up their civilization in vats, scientific, like not
literally the exact same plot to DuckTales, where they like go to the moon and they find out it's run by the Selenians.
Wow, crazy that is.
I'm sure English once came.
Maybe he remote viewed a DuckTales movie. I don't know.
Did we go to the moon or not? And if we didn't, I mean, if we did, you
Yeah.
can't tell me we don't have.
Call, you're
freaking
at the
bases.
moon. You're in the moon right now. That's what we're saying.
Maybe.
This is it.
I'd say we went, just not as many times as they say we did.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because the last Apollo mission was completely paid for, but yet we never went. That makes no sense.
What about Stargates? So I'm all about the idea that we're going places through Stargates instead of through the sky. You know, you take your time. 88 miles an hour in a DeLorean through that. That's how you get to the moon. That's what.
No,
I'm thinking.
you need a pedal jumper, obviously.
Yeah, or a submarine. Pedal jumper sounds cool. Hold on.
Yeah, when they first did that, I thought gate ship would have been much better instead of puddle
Okay,
jumper.
Rodney.
Wait, puddle jumper is
Oh,
not
wait,
what
no,
I
I'm
meant.
It'd make more sense.
Wait, this is not what I mean, but still, this is how you travel through Stargates. I'm pretty sure. What do you mean puddle jumper? What am I looking for?
Do Stargate Atlantis puddle jumper.
There you go.
Yeah, they found ships designed to go through the
There it is.
Stargate.
Yeah, the nacelles pop out after they've passed through the.
That's like a Lego lightsaber, actually. I could
It
get
does
down.
look like a Lego lightsaber.
Yeah, yeah, they're
Yeah, I
designed to go through the Stargates.
Donnie Darko, he talks about the metal craft with his teacher, right? And he's like, you got to get into a metal craft in order to space-time travel, and that's why there's like this engine that lands on his roof. It seems kind of similar. This to me, the idea of space travel is probably you can materialize somewhere else. We were talking about red alchemy powder the other day too. This idea that if you were a pure energy being and you could just manifest yourself out of the ambient materials necessary when you get to a place, sort of in that movie Super 8. Talking about the Spielberg.
Yeah.
produced movie.
Because that was one strange movie.
Well, what they do is these energy beings show up, and then they assume bodies made of the carbon on Earth, and then they take the metals and they make spaceships. Their spaceship is already a cloud, though, so you have this idea of cloud aliens, right? What do you guys think? Also, the idea that there's aliens here that are energy beings that are just going to start to materialize corporeally through using material it collects from here.
And then you fly around on a Nimbus. Yeah.
I mean,
you could argue that they've been here for a long time and would appear as nymphs and dryads and water spirits and fire elementals and all that cool stuff. Jinn. I mean, that they, who knows? But I think there's an argument that at least one other presence has been around with us since we were talking about been and around.
So interestingly, nephrology, which refers to kidney studies, is the name for the meteorology study of clouds. Nephology, sorry, not nephrology, but like the connection still, the idea that the clouds are kind of like the kidneys, or that they're a living thing, is pretty interesting to me.
Cool.
Hey, did anybody see the plasma batteries that were around maybe 2000 to 2005? There was like 5 different scientists that came up with them, and all of them had like untimely accidents. Like where one guy opened the front door and got a shotgun to the face. Another guy just had a heart attack for no reason. And they were supposedly about the size of a shoebox, and they would put out several kilowatts. And the only thing I found close to that is the new cell. I put the link for that on there, but that's basically it's a nuclear. It's directly nuclear to electricity, but not by heat. And
the resonant nuclear battery?
Yeah, that's it. And I don't know if the plasma battery is related, but I'm thinking maybe it is. Maybe they're turning it into plasma.
So what is this, like piezoelectric or what?
It's what?
I'll tell you what, gentlemen, I'm going to bow out before I turn into plasma.
I was about to say we're gonna probably finish the 2-hour thing. Let me also mention, interestingly enough, that you can listen to the Ingo Swann median work by Mr. Douglas, which is a good way to learn more about the median work on the moon, and it's on Podbean. But if you go to mrdouglas.com with 3 for an R.
Thank you. That's right. Mr. Douglas MIST3RDOUGLAS.com. Yes, check it out.
On there too.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Yes, I shall.
Join Doug. Doug, I'm tagging out with you.
We're building with the Hutchinsons and working on.
Wait, we're almost. Let me also jump to Darth Call.
Just before that, you should get the Jack Sarfati on to talk about Ingo Swann.
You schmuck. Sorry, that's a Jack's Sarparty quote.
I'm having a hard time with spelling.
Darth Call.
He got 50
Darth
kilowatts
Call.
on that box.
Tomorrow, Darth Call and Mr. Douglas will be doing a live show, Better Call. It'll be episode 20, I believe, which is pretty exciting. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to drop in and see what you guys are up to. So.
Turkey Day 20. Yeah.
Wait, are you guys doing this on Thanksgiving? You are?
Yeah.
Based.
We'll hang out for a little while. Yeah, exactly.
Based.
I don't think I'm doing my show tomorrow. So if I end up having any free time, I'll definitely come and visit you guys. So thank you for all you do.
Right. And thank you, gentlemen, for the rousing conversation. I love the education. Merci.
Absolutely epic. Thanks for letting us come on.
All right, man. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Legit. Well, if you guys
and
want,
you can go onto my channel to see on YouTube to see the Homunculus episode yesterday while it's still being processed by YouTube on Xirtus' channel.
Yeah, sure. You can get it right away if you go to Crypto Alchemist. You can also get it in the Discord if you want to. But in the meantime, why not go to here? It's live right there. Homunculus, really good episode. I'm sure it'll be up in like a second, and it's got good views on your channel. So
also, before you stop, I was talking to both Old World Florida Dr. Longo as well as the Chosen one-on-one podcasts, and they're both down for us to do a 4-way stream with them next week sometime. So I'll arrange that with them.
Sounds legit. Actually, if you guys want, we could do another Real Science after this. You want to set up something? Unless you're tired.
I don't have my laptop. I'm on my phone over at a friend's house. So why don't we do that tomorrow night?
Tomorrow I'm gonna do some Thanksgiving stuff. So we'll do
Thanksgiving. Okay, fair enough.
We'll do some.
So maybe Friday. Would Friday work for?
Friday probably good. Yeah.
Okay, I'll set that up. If you want to email me a thumbnail for it, I'll make it.
Sweet. And then guys, Think Tank it up. Wednesday Ultra it up. Get yourself some merch. I like this shirt a lot.
No MK Canada tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Canada. I have an American Thanksgiving. It is what it is. But
that's oddly fitting.
Charlie C is down. I think Gerald as well, and Jeremiah for the Real Science on Friday, and also John Hutchinson with Nancy Hutchinson and the legendary Bob Greenier of Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project, the best cold fusion researcher, developer in the world, and academic professor. Is at the Hutchinson's place right now, writing a book on John. They're working together, and they're going to come on and do a stream with us for another Real Science episode here sometime in the next week.
Word. Sounds legit. Well, dudes, I'll see you next time. Thank you for being here. And Anthony also, by the way, thanks for coming. We'll do it again soon. Definitely invited back. Simon, super glad you made it. Let's just keep reminding me and let's keep doing stuff. Simon, let's do something maybe Tuesday. Adam, glad you were here as well. And Bernie, thanks for putting stuff together. Appreciate it.
And happy Thanksgiving, America.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving. Peace.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.